Hello, congratulations on your interview. My name is Jim Boyd. I'm one of the founders here of Cirrus Group Consulting, and I wanted to take 3 or 4 minutes and give you some tips to help you with your next interview because interviewing is a skill, and with practice and with some tips, you can perform better. So, with that, I'd like to have a discussion with you about 3 phases of the interview: things to do before the interview, during the interview, and then after the interview. So, let's start with before the interview. We certainly would recommend that you do some research on the company, and we mean to look up the CEO, their main products offerings, and certainly any recent news releases. And then also research the people you're going to talk to. Primarily look on LinkedIn and see if you have anything in common with them or any articles they've published that you can help break the ice. Next, we'd like you to get out your resume. You can do it in a hard copy, you can do it in an electronic copy, and especially on your last job, maybe 2 jobs if they're shorter term jobs, maybe less than a year or so or less, and write down your top 2 or 3 accomplishments at these jobs. So what you want you to do is look at, say, your last place and think about what you're most proud of. Why was it difficult? What impact did it have on the organization? And is there anything you would do differently? Write these down. It's easier to do ahead of time, and we'll talk about why we're doing that in just a minute. Next, we want to talk about what to do during the interview. And now, this is probably one of the most important things we're going to ask you to do. And what it is before you start talking about your background and your experience, we want you to ask the person you're interviewing. We want you to ask the hiring manager what it is that they're looking for, right? And so this is important for you to understand the individual you're about to talk to. What is it that's most important to them? I'm going to give you an example. So let's say I'm talking to the hiring manager, and he says, "Hello, Jim. Thank you for your time today. Here's what we're looking for at a very high level. And what I'd love for you to do is tell me about your background and experience, and maybe walk me through your last job. What were you doing?" Before I answer, here's what I'm going to say. "Hey, Steve, thanks for your time today. I'm excited to talk to you. Cirrus gave me an overview of the job, but could you please take a minute to tell me about the project and the goals of the position? I'd just love to get your take on what's most important." That's it, something like that. And that should allow the manager to now tell me what to focus on, right? So the next piece of advice we have for you is, while you now talk about your background and your experience, of course, you're going to tie it to what that manager just told you he's looking for, but also to those accomplishments and successes that we prepared for and that we talked about. And this is a big differentiating factor for you to talk about not only what you've done, you're going to tie it to what this particular individual is looking for, but now you're also going to highlight the accomplishments and successes that you had. So you not only you can really demonstrate the value that you're going to bring. And then the last thing we want to discuss is kind of at the end of the interview, most managers will give you an opportunity to ask questions. We would encourage you to write down 1 or 2 questions ahead of time, again, the night before. And these should be things that are more strategic in nature. You might want to ask them, this division, what kind of impact does it have on the organization? Or the work that I'm going to be doing, what type of things can I learn, and how can I bring new value to the organization? What are some of the key traits of successful people here? Things like that. But our request is that the number one thing that you're going to finish with is you're going to ask the interviewer what they think of you. And this is your opportunity to address any concerns they have. And once again, we'll give a little example. So the hiring manager has just kind of concluded and said to me, "Well, Jim, thanks for your time. Do you have any final questions for me?" And I will ask hopefully 1 or 2 questions, but then I'll say, "Hey, Steve, thank you for your time today. This job sounds like what you're really looking for is, what they just told me. It could be, to really optimize a cloud environment or what have you. I think my background and experience make me a great fit, and I'm very interested. Do you have any concerns or final questions?" Just like that, or something very similar. You want to let them know you're interested, and now you want to ask them, do they have any concerns or final questions? Because if they do, this is your chance to address them. And you either want to explain where you have done what they're asking about, because maybe it wasn't covered, or you want to tell them about how you could quickly learn and you can still bring value, or maybe you've done something very similar, and that's going to translate. So we think if you do these things and you practice a little bit, you'll have a great interview. We look forward to talking to you afterwards and to continue working with you. Thanks so much.